I made this video to explain why more funding should be given to Salisbury University Intramural Sports. Because I have something to say, and I know the students of Salisbury have something to say.
I swam here my freshman year, and I didn't like it my sophomore year, so I decided it was too much time, and that I wanted to make just an intramural swimming team so it would be a little bit more relaxed. The school wouldn't provide funding for us to have lifeguards on duty, so we couldn't do it. I was kind of upset about that. It would have been a really great way to make friends, but I couldn't do it because they wouldn't pay for lifeguards, which is absurd.
Well, the panties kind of smell.
The hockey jerseys smell absolutely awful.
Jerseys for intramural sports smell terrible. We could use some new ones or send them through the wash like once. There are certain people, Travis is one of them, who sweats entirely too much for one human being. And that sweat just sticks. That doesn't wipe off. That stays in the jerseys for the next game. They do like 3-4 games a night. Those jerseys stink. If you're the last game, awful Travis sweat smell.
More funding means better jerseys. Not smelly ones, not tattered ones, not worn ones that fall off when you're running around. This isn't how a jersey should look when you're trying to play. This is proper jersey etiquette. I got hit in the face by a hockey puck one time because the helmet didn't fit properly. That's not very comfortable.
Every pad that I put on was just, there was no way to, everything was jerry-rigged and tied together with pieces of string. I would get hit with pucks and I could barely block anything because my padding wouldn't work and I'd always be sitting around messing around with it.
Last year, the left-handed sticks were never to be seen. This year, the right-handed sticks are never to be seen. Who knows where the hell the sticks all go?
I don't know why they think everyone playing hockey is left-handed. It's not true.
It's the smallest thing. All I got to do is order a couple new pads, order a couple extra hockey sticks, so we're not so a whole bunch of right-handed people are stuck with all the left-handed ones and vice versa.
You buy extra equipment so when others go missing, you have ones to make up for that. One time, my team and I showed up for a football game, and the refs didn't even have a football. I didn't have a football. My friends didn't have a football because you guys should supply the football, but due to a lack of funding, they don't have a football. It's really hard to play football without a football. These aren't the only sports that have been affected.
We were at an intramural softball game, and the pitcher threw the ball to the catcher got it, and was going to throw it back to the pitcher, and she throws that, chucks the ball really hard, and it just whacks the girl in the back of the head, and she just, screamed and collapsed on the ground, and all of that could have been avoided if there was a helmet.
They don't even supply helmets for players. That's a huge... That is the number one big safety concern in baseball. A helmet. A helmet protects your brain. Your brain is your life. Even though Salisbury says that they're not responsible for any injuries that could occur, they're hosting an event that could possibly result in a dangerous injury. So there could be a lawsuit at hand. The basic necessities of baseball aren't even supplied. They have the bases, but they don't have the ball. So we can't have fun. The base and the ball, then we have fun.
Last season when I played softball, I couldn't afford a glove, and they didn't provide any gloves. So, as a result, I had to use this glove.
Why'd you use that glove?
And I had to use this glove because, I guess it's a football glove, and it's sticky, so... There, I caught the balls.
Catching balls with your hands? That hurts, especially when it's cold out. College kids already don't have a lot of money.
I don't have my own glove.
Funding would allow for all the equipment to be paid for. Just make a waiver that says if you damage this equipment, then you have to pay for it. Because college kids just don't have $35 to blow on a Spalding glove for baseball. It's obscene. That's an unheard of amount of money in the college realm.
A lot of the kids that I know play don't exactly have their own equipment. Not a lot of the kids can afford their own equipment, and so we have to use the schools. And 90% of the time, from what I'm finding out, there's either A, not enough equipment, or B, the equipment doesn't really work. There's also so many students at the school that are athletes. This school has a high percentage of just student athletes in general.
Truthfully, I'm a pretty hardcore athlete, and I'm not just gonna hang around with some friends at 10 o'clock at night for some intramural sports if it's not a legit game. Let's talk about equipment, actual calendars for scheduling.
I love sports. I want to play sports. I'm certainly not good enough to play on any varsity teams by a long shot, but then again, I just don't have the money to spend on equipment so I can play in the sports that the school provides for kids who are terrible to begin with.
Those kids would like an outlet to have some fun, play some competitive sports, and bond with their friends.
Intramural sports are for the kids that like were picked last. This is our time to shine, and if you don't supply the hardware for us to succeed, then how do we play? The university gets grants and all this money coming into them from how many other sources. I get paid from McDonald's like $6 an hour, and I can't blow that money on equipment to play in 4 games. That's how long a season lasts, is 4 games. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I would rather have that money for beer. I mean books. Your lack of funding is cutting into my beer funds. This is America. On top of that, a scarcity of equipment is basically moving people away from playing, so they're getting fat because of your lack of funding. John, let's go play football. Oh no, we can't because they don't have a football. Oh well, I'll just sit here and eat a Big Mac. If they had better stuff, would you be more inclined to play?
Yes. Yes, I would love to play with better things. I would love good sticks. First hockey game we played in, I hurt myself with a stick. Hit me right in the ribs, and I had a bruise for like 2-3 days. And if they had like a little cap on that, they had wrapped it up. If we had wood sticks, I would not have that bruise. We need more funding. We need more funding.
I was going to say, since they don't have to pay for intramurals to travel anywhere to play against other teams, they could at least pay to fund the equipment for intramurals to use to stay on campus. And you have to pay for club sports and not intramurals, so at least for intramurals they could supply jerseys and equipment. A couple times for intramural, we did water tube polo in the pool, and sometimes the refs would be late or not even show up. Sometimes there wouldn't even be enough functionable inner tubes to play in the playoff game. We had to wait until they found more inner tubes.
So what happens if you don't have tubes? Like, can you play without
You can't
the
play.
tubes?
No, you have to have you have to stay in your tube for the entire game. So if you don't have tubes, you can't play.
So it's not just benefiting us, it's benefiting the school as well.
The refs are always late or don't show up, and so always a scramble to find people to play. So
Refs get paid to come to these games, and they don't even show up for this. That's a job that I could have. More funding would mean better equipment, which means a bigger turnout of people, which means they need more refs. And more refs equals more jobs, and the jobs pay money. And people like me who work at McDonald's making $6 an hour could ref games, and they pay $9 an hour. And that would be awesome. I would love that. I would love to do that.
Jobs, like you guys hire kids as refs, you hire kids to help like watch the equipment and clean everything up. More sports, the more teams, the more kids that you draw in, that's more help for us.
Salisbury University was recently rated one of the most in-shape schools in America, and that's a really, really good thing. But if we want to keep that going, then intramural sports is a great way to do it. I sweat so much when I play, and that makes me lose weight, and that makes me stay in shape, and I like to be in shape. Exercising helps the mind. It actually makes you study better. It makes you focus.
It's a proven fact that like physical activity, a good healthy like disposition when you're playing sports is good for student. It's good for our mentality, it's good for our energy, and it's just good for our whole outlook on the school.
So maybe if more funding was allocated to intramural sports, then we might see an increase in the overall GPA. Recently, Salisbury University was rated by the Princeton Review as the 2nd worst at studying, and if we have a better GPA, then that will surely go away. I don't want to graduate and still have this school known as the worst at studying, 2nd worst at studying, I'm sorry. So we see that a lack of funding really branches off and stems off into all these other problems that comes from the people not exercising and being lazy with their lives because they have nothing better to do than sit around and watch TV when they should be studying. They should be forced to be active, by their friends at least, because they're on a team. Anyways, so we've seen now that more funding would make job opportunities, a safer playing environment, and a bigger turnout. Increasing the funding for intramural sports could create a butterfly effect. That's my butterfly. The students who like the intramural sports so much will go home and tell their brothers or sisters that Salisbury has such good intramural sports, and they'll tell their friends, and then they'll be trying to decide between which college to go to, And this might be that one little thing that just takes a step above the other college, and everybody will want to go here.
The key to a good college, in my opinion, or I would think, would be to have happy students.
Allocating more funds to Salisbury University's intramural sports would be nothing but beneficial.